Well, the price of oil has come up again. The height of the pessimism about the ringgit was when the oil prices were below $50 US. They're now well above that. So the concern before was oil prices. Oil prices have come up. So I mean, if the fundamentals of Malaysia are oil prices, then the fundamentals should look better. But no one really understands what makes forex markets work. If someone did, he'd make an absolute fortune on the forex markets. But forex markets behave like forex markets always do. They overshoot and they undershoot. They overcorrect and then they come back to hopefully the correct equilibrium level.
All right, speaking of emerging markets, I'm going to ask you to put on your investment banking hat here just for a little while. Southeast Asian valuations are at their lowest point in about 6 years, and this on speculation that there will be capital outflows around that Fed rate hike speculation. Is this something that should be of a concern?
Well, of course it's a concern. I mean, every time valuations come down, those who hold shares obviously feel concerned. But unfortunately, this seems to be a kind of global trend. I mean, if the World Bank is right, and most of the growth is going to come from the developed markets, then you can expect a fund manager looking at his portfolio to do some asset reallocation and move some money from emerging markets back to developed markets. But again, markets always overshoot and they have to correct themselves. But you have to be kind of more optimistic, I think, about the whole emerging market story in the long run, because what fueled the growth before hasn't changed. Rising middle class, more people, demographic dividends, and all those kinds of things. Those kind of fundamentals haven't changed. But clearly, we are in for a rough ride over the next, in the short term, as people try and figure out what it means, what a Fed interest rate hike really means to the global economy. We've had years of cheap money, and markets have to readjust if money becomes slightly more expensive than it used to be.
Bringing it back to Malaysia, under the 11th Malaysia Plan, some key growth drivers are to be domestic demand, and it's meant to be private investment led. Is this something that's achievable?
Well, it is. I mean, just going from the past, and domestic demand has grown and it's become a more important component of GDP growth. And according to the numbers we've seen, the published numbers, private investment is up. But that is, in the end of the day, to grow in an economy, you got to do more investment, stimulate domestic demand, and stimulate export demand. I mean, that's kind of like, it's almost a truism, because those are by definition the components of GDP. But I don't think we should give up on exports at all. I mean, yes, domestic demand is important, but so are exports. And if we can increase manufacturing exports, or rather exports of high value-added items, that's what's going to lead to more prosperity for everyone, not just the businessmen, but for the average person, the man on the street.